All right, welcome back to ABA exam review in our sixth edition BCBA task list review. We're continuing measurement, data display, and interpretation with C5. Distinguish between continuous and discontinuous measurement procedures. Now, if you ever worked as a behavior technician, you're probably very familiar with these type of measurements as you were the one typically measuring. So when we think of continuous measurement, we think of recording every instance, things like frequency, rate, duration. Discontinuous, we're taking a sample. So think partial interval, whole interval, or momentary time sampling. And so we're going to break those down just a little bit further, but we're not going to overcomplicate it. Although a very important topic because measurement is everything to us, we want to keep it as simple as possible because when you do pass your exam, you'll be teaching this to your technicians and you want to simplify it to them as well. As always, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe. It really helps us out. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shoutout. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. Okay, let's start here. Measurement is the systematic method used to observe and record data on behavior. Very technical definition, very dry definition, but that's the level we're going to start to get at. Right? Now, when I say we want to get to that level, you want to understand what that means. At the same time, your duty as a BCBA will be to explain this stuff to people most of the time less knowledgeable than you. So you still want to learn how to simplify it in your mind. All we're saying is when we measure, we're observing and taking data on behavior. We measure everything in ABA. If you have a behavior target, if you have a skill target, you're measuring. If you aren't measuring, you're not doing anything, okay? We don't make assumptions. We don't guess. Everything is about data. So when you pick a target, you need to have a measurement in place when that target begins. It's a fundamental piece of success. So when we talk about continuous versus discontinuous measurement, what do we mean? Continuous measurement captures every instance of behavior. So if I have a 10-minute observation, if I'm continually measuring in those 10 minutes, I'm capturing every single instance of behavior. So if I'm taking frequency, I'm counting every time that behavior happens. If I'm taking duration, I'm taking the length of behavior throughout that entire 10-minute observation. Discontinuous just captures a sample. So if I have 10 minutes, what I'm going to do is break that 10 minutes into, let's say, 2-minute intervals. So I'm going to end up with 2-minute intervals, 5 of them, and I'm only going to take a sample in each interval. And we're going to talk about the difference and when to use each. Let's start with continuous measurement because it's the one you want to use whenever possible. It's just going to be more accurate, more reliable. It just is, right? Because we're sitting there and watching every time the behavior occurs. It records every instance of behavior during an observation period. So if you've got a 3-hour session and you're targeting hitting, if you're continuously measuring hitting, then that entire 3-hour session, every time hitting occurs, you're measuring it. That's continuous. It's going to be more complete. It's going to be more accurate. What are our common types? Frequency or count is just a simple tally. Rate, the number of occurrences per unit of time. In other words, frequency over time. Duration, the total amount of time a behavior lasts from start to finish. Latency, the time from a stimulus to the onset of a behavior. Interresponse time, the time between 2 consecutive instances of a behavior. Now, we're not going to break down each of these individually in this video. We've been through that, and we'll cover that as we go. But these are our continuous measurement procedures because with these, we're measuring every time that behavior occurs. No matter how long that observation is, if we're continuously measuring, we're going to capture every single time the behavior occurs. So what are some advantages? The most important advantage, it's going to give a complete and accurate picture of behavior. We're going to know more or less exactly how often or how long that behavior is occurring. Clear beginnings and ends, it's ideal for, right? If we don't know the clear beginning or clear end, it's much more difficult to, let's say, take a frequency, right, or a duration. But if we do have a clear beginning and end, and they're very discrete, then continuous measurement is great. Now, what's some issues with continuous measurement? Well, it can be labor intensive. It can be resource intensive. It can be hard if the behavior happens at a really high rate. If you have a behavior that happens 20 times a minute, that's going to get really exhausting if it's a long observation period. So just be mindful of that, right? And then the observer must be present for the entire observation period. So again, if we want to measure 4 hours of behavior continuously, somebody's got to be there 4 hours. It's the pros and cons of everything we use in ABA. Now, discontinuous measurement. We're taking a sample. So it's the difference between recording 4 hours of data or taking those 4 hours, deciding, okay, during 20 minutes of those 4 hours, I'm going to have, 4 or 5 minute intervals. And interval length is going to vary. Shorter intervals are typically better, right? But this is just an example. And so you're not going to get data across the whole 20 minutes. You're only going to get these 4 data points. And what do we mean by only 4 data points? Well, in these 4 intervals, you're going to use probably partial interval, whole interval, or momentary time sampling. We also have a play check, right, which is our planned activity check. That's just momentary time sampling for a group. But if I'm using partial interval recording and this first interval, right, at what point does the behavior have to happen for it to count? Well, at any part, right? Partial, at any part of the interval, if that behavior happens, we count a response. So let's say, number 1, it happens. Number 2, it doesn't happen. Number 3, it happens the whole time. Number 4, it doesn't happen. That would be 50% of the time. And we'd only get 2 recorded responses over 20 minutes. So you start to see the issue with interval recording, right? I'm watching for 20 minutes, but I only got really 4 data points and 2 responses. Whole interval. What do we look for in whole interval? Well, if again, we use 5 minutes, it needs to happen the whole time, whole duration. If that behavior happens for 4 minutes and 59 seconds, it doesn't count, right? And then momentary time sampling at the exact moment the interval ends. So at the end of 5 minutes, is the behavior occurring? Yes or no? Okay. Sampling data can be easier to take, but there's obvious glaring issues here. Again, we have 20 minutes of observation. We're only getting 4 data points. How much can we really learn from that? What are the advantages then? Why would we ever use this? Well, it's easy to implement for high rate, continuous, or multiple behaviors. If we have a behavior happening a ton during 20 minutes, it happens 200 times, 300 times, then maybe we don't need all that data, right? It also allows the observer to collect data on multiple behaviors or individuals simultaneously. It allows you to use momentary time sampling to do other things while collecting behavior data. Remember, with continuous, you can't take your eyes off that client because you've got to capture every instance of the behavior. In this case, you can, if we're doing partial interval, for example, over 5 minutes, and the behavior happens within the first 20 seconds, well, we don't just start the new interval. We got to wait the whole 5 minutes, right? So it gives you more time and more freedom for interruptions and other things. Disadvantages, it's only going to give you an estimate. It's definitely not a complete record by any means. It's only a sample. And it can lead to overestimation or underestimation of the behavior. So be careful with discontinuous measurement. Be very, very smart about how you use it. Takeaways. Use continuous measurement when you need a highly accurate, precise count or timing of behavior. The behavior is discrete and easy to count or time. And you have the resources for a dedicated observer. Use discontinuous measurement when you're measuring high rate or continuous behaviors. So a lot of humming, a lot of screaming, if they're just on task for long periods of time or short periods of time, right? You're collecting data on multiple behaviors or individuals at once, or you're limited in resources and cannot commit to constant observation. Always strive continuous measurement first. Only use discontinuous measurement when continuous is not practical. Is discontinuous useless? Absolutely not. Should we try to use continuous when we can? 100%. Thanks for watching. That's our 6th edition BCBA task list review. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com. Please subscribe. When you pass, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard,